The sun was high over Willow Creek, a sleepy suburban cul-de-sac where sprinklers hissed in unison and mailboxes stood like sentinels of order. I was lounging in my bathrobe at 2:06 p.m., microwaving leftover pizza and pretending to be on a work call, when a shout from outside shattered my midlife crisis daydream. "Sir, you can't do that." It was my son, Ethan, his voice sharp with panic. Ethan's a good kid, 16, lanky, with a penchant for skateboarding and questionable podcast subscriptions, but he's not one for hysterics. Dropping my pizza, I bolted to the front door, socks skidding on the hardwood. There, in our driveway, was a scene straight out of a bad action flick. Ethan, all 120 pounds of him, was pinned to the grass by a man who looked like he'd raided a tactical gear catalog during a clearance sale. Mirrored aviators, combat boots, and a polo shirt with HOA enforcement scrawled across it in what looked like a DIY iron-on job. He was barking about Section 7C, Subclause 13 unlawful rolling without supervision, flashing a laminated badge that, on closer inspection, was taped to an old gym membership card. Ethan was crying. His skateboard flipped over beside him. My dad instincts kicked in. I sprinted across the lawn, nearly trampling Mrs. Larson's prized petunias, and yelled, "Get off my kid." The guy raised a hand, flashing his fake badge again. "Sir, I'm a licensed HOA enforcement official. Your son was skateboarding within 30 feet of a decorative fountain. Clear violation." I scoffed. "You're not a cop." He smirked. "Not with that attitude." Before I could retort, sirens wailed, and 3 black SUVs screeched into the cul-de-sac like we were starring in a drug bust movie. Men in dark suits poured out, guns drawn, shouting, "Hands where we can see them." The fake cop stood slowly, hands up but grinning like he'd expected this. "Took you long enough," he muttered as an agent tackled him. Another helped Ethan up, asking, "You okay, kid?" Ethan, pointing at me, stammered, "I was just skateboarding." Inside, over coffee I offered and they refused, Agent Harper laid it out. The man was Victor Ramsey, a drifter with no law enforcement background, not even a resident of our state. He was a con artist, weaving fake identities to infiltrate HOAs and exert control where none was granted. "He's part of a larger network," Harper said, dropping a file on my coffee table. "They're building rogue surveillance systems, mapping routines, controlling communities." I laughed nervously. "What? Spying on lawn gnomes?" Harper didn't smile. "Watching residents, scoring behavior, enforcing compliance." Ethan, munching a granola bar, piped up, "This is like that podcast, Suburban Shadows, Episode 6, Neighborhoods Under Siege." I shot him a look, but Harper raised an eyebrow. "What podcast?" Suddenly, my 16-year-old was briefing the FBI in his avocado print pajama pants, his wild theories overlapping with their investigation. The next morning, Willow Creek looked pristine, but something felt off. Sprinklers ticked, joggers waved, but the air was heavy. Ethan was glued to his phone, scrolling a Reddit thread about HOA conspiracies. I stared at Harper's business card, dreading the call I wasn't ready to make. Then came a knock. Ethan dove behind the couch, hissing, "Check the peephole." It was Karen Whitmore, our HOA president, all perfect hair and pastel blazer, clutching a clipboard like a weapon. "Emergency meeting at noon," she said, her smile unnervingly wide. "Mandatory. Big discussion after yesterday's excitement." I blinked. "You mean the fake cop tackling my kid and the FBI raid?" Her smile didn't falter. "We'll debrief as a community." She handed me a flyer with community response meeting in bold and a smaller note. "Non-participation may impact compliance status." It felt like a threat wrapped in Comic Sans. At the rec center, 60 residents packed a room usually reserved for ice cream socials. Karen stood at the front, flanked by board members who looked like they'd rehearsed their poker faces. She tapped the mic, announcing, "An individual falsely represented our HOA security detail." Voices erupted. Why was he issuing fines? Inspecting fences? Karen raised a hand. "Mr. Ramsey was an independent consultant offering free services." A mistake, in hindsight. Ethan whispered, "She's acting like he forgot to mow a lawn, not handcuffed me." Then Karen dropped the bomb. His concerns highlighted vulnerabilities. "We're proposing a formal security escalation program." I stood. Escalation? Our biggest crime was a stolen Halloween pumpkin. A man in a suit, Stephen Crane, stepped up, representing Safety First Solutions. We offer motion-sensitive lighting, remote watch stations, and behavioral mapping, he said, as if selling a timeshare. Ethan muttered, corporate code for spying. The room exploded. Spying on neighbors? Behavioral mapping? I shouted. Did you vet this company? Karen's smile wavered as Ethan pulled out his phone. I downloaded Ramsey's body cam metadata. Guess who signed his contract? Starts with K, ends with RN. Gasps swept the room. Karen didn't deny it. The meeting dissolved in chaos, shouting, a flung donut hitting the projector. We walked out, adrenaline pumping. Ethan said, Dad, what if she's not alone? I nodded. Someone's backing her. This isn't in the bylaws. The next day, Ethan was staring at a street lamp through binoculars. It blinked, he said, pointing to a rhythmic flicker. We dragged a ladder from the garage and found a hidden device in Zydia metal box with a glowing LED, labeled with an unknown manufacturer. Signal relay, Ethan muttered. Surveillance gear, encrypted, solar-powered. Inside, on our dining table, he dissected it like a tech surgeon, pulling files labeled HOA_OPS_phase_2. Clips showed neighbors walking dogs, arguing, even kissing behind bushes, targeted recordings. A memo from NovaSecure Corporation to Karen detailed Willow Creek as a test site for behavioral monitoring, citing our malleable residents. It proposed facial recognition and sidewalk cameras. Ethan searched NovaSecure, a defense contractor turned security firm, previously flagged for protest tracking software. Now, they were in our cul-de-sac. We didn't call Harper yet. We needed more. Ethan hacked the HOA's cloud portal, finding a resident behavior index, rating neighbors on compliance and disruption potential. My score, 3 for compliance, 2 for predictability, with a note about digital noise. Ethan's was a 1, flagged for monitoring. We backed up everything on a thumb drive, stashed in a cereal box. That night, we found another lamp device, same setup, same files. The neighborhood was wired. At 3 a.m., I stood on the porch, the silence now menacing. This wasn't about fines anymore. Ethan suggested talking to Pete, our mailman, who'd hinted at a past in overseas logistics. Pete, in cargo shorts and a sunburn, didn't blink when we asked about NovaSecure. I worked for them abroad, he said. Surveillance nodes in trash cans, antennas on roofs. Now they're here, controlling neighborhoods. He slipped us a name, Walter Klein, a former NovaSecure consultant. We found Klein's outdated website, and Ethan dug up an email. At 3:14 a.m., a reply came. Meet at Miller Park bleachers, 8 p.m. No phones. We went, Faraday pouch in hand, and met Klein, a grizzled man in his 60s with sharp eyes. He confirmed NovaSecure's plan. Start with compliance tracking, escalate to biometric data. They hide behind HOAs, he said. No oversight. If they flag you as a threat, they'll shut you down. He gave us a cybercrime contact and vanished. Back home, we found a file labeled Priority Red on our US bomb message between Karen and someone, TM, about a phase gamma vote in 3 days to authorize NovaSecure's full contract, including private patrols. We had to act. The HOA storage room held the originals. That night, Ethan picked the lock, and we found NovaSecure's proposal buried in mislabeled files, signed by Karen and 2 board members, approving surveillance and naming Ramsey as a proxy. As we left, a car idled nearby, headlights off. Ethan slipped the USB into his shoe, and we snuck home. The next morning, our trash cans were tipped over, one not ours, with a typed note. Some things are better left buried. Stop digging. Then I saw Ramsey at a strip mall, smirking, free despite Harper's assurances. Ethan snapped a photo. I called Harper, no answer. Another note appeared in our mailbox. You're not the only ones who see the cracks. Not a threat, but a hint of an ally. On old lamp footage, we saw Karen exchanging a duffel bag with a bald man, Ramsey nearby, time-stamped after his supposed arrest. Either the FBI lied, or someone freed him. The final HOA session was invite-only. Pete got us in. Karen and NovaSecure reps pitched a surveillance utopia, Ramsey now in a NovaSecure uniform, brazenly present. Residents clapped, unaware. Ethan and I planned to crash the vote. Pete brought an EMP to kill the HOA's servers. At 3:58 p.m., Ethan texted, Now. Pete hit the button. Screens flickered, locks clicked, Ramsey's walkie died. Ethan's virus projected the truth surveillance feeds, contracts, Karen's payoff onto the rec center screen. Files hit every resident's email and the press. Chaos erupted. Ramsey chased Ethan outside, pinning him until I tackled him. He pulled a high-tech taser, but federal SUVs rolled in. Harper emerged, admitting internal corruption freed Ramsey. He was arrested for real this time. Karen was charged with conspiracy and privacy violations. The board resigned, and residents rewrote the HOA charter with anti-surveillance rules. Ethan declined a podcast invite, wanting normalcy. I painted our mailbox neon green, daring a complaint. None came. On the porch, Ethan asked, "Is it over?" I said, "It's quieter." He sipped his soda. They called us a model, like lab rats. I laughed, not because it was funny, but because we'd fought a system that saw us as data points and won, for now.